The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Vorkal entered, his obsidian scales clicking against the polished floor. The massive Kresh warrior had once been a legend, a apex predator whose name sent shivers through a dozen star systems. Now he stood before the council not as a conqueror, but as a supplicant. "You come seeking what, Vorkal?" asked the ethereal chancellor, its translucent form shimmering with barely concealed contempt. "My offspring," Vorkal's voice rumbled, each word heavy with something that might have been regret. "I abandoned them on Station Kepler 442. I thought them weak. I was wrong." The chancellor's laugh echoed through the chamber like breaking glass. "Wrong? Oh, Vorkal, you were not wrong. You were catastrophically, historically wrong. Those cubs you left to die, they didn't perish. They were found by Captain Lyra Kane." Vorkal's blood ran cold. He knew that name. Every sentient being in the galaxy knew that name. 20 cycles earlier, Captain Lyra Kane had been conducting a routine salvage operation on the abandoned station when she heard the mewling. Most species would have fled. Kresh cubs were notoriously vicious, capable of tearing through reinforced steel even at 3 months old. But humans, the galaxy had learned, possessed a peculiar defect in their survival instinct. Lyra found them in the ventilation shaft. 3 cubs, barely alive, their bioluminescent markings dim with starvation. Zek, Myra, and Tor, she should have left them. Protocol demanded it. The Kresh were humanity's enemies, responsible for the massacre at New Terra. Instead, she wrapped them in her thermal jacket and carried them to her ship. The galactic community watched with morbid fascination as news spread. "The human has adopted Kresh cubs," the broadcast announced. "She will be devoured within a week." Betting pools opened across civilized space. But Lyra Kane understood something about predators that the galaxy had forgotten. They weren't born monsters. They were made. She fed them not just nutrients, but discipline. When Zek tried to bite her hand, she didn't flinch. She pressed his snout to the ground and held it there until he submitted. When Myra grew aggressive, Lyra didn't retaliate. She isolated her, teaching the young Kresh that violence had consequences. When Tor showed fear, she sat with him through the night, her presence a steady anchor, and she taught them. Mathematics, strategy, philosophy, empathy, concepts the Kresh had abandoned generations ago when they embraced pure predation. "You are stronger than your instincts," she told them every day. "You are more than what you were born to be." The galaxy laughed. Until the cubs grew. The first incident occurred on Dravik Station. A Kresh war party attacked, killing hundreds. Zek, Myra, and Tor arrived within hours, not as part of the Kresh fleet but in opposition to it. What the galaxy witnessed that day would be replayed across every newsfeed for years. 3 Kresh, moving with impossible coordination, utilizing tactics no Kresh had ever employed. They didn't simply overwhelm their enemies with brute force. They outsmarted them. Zek disabled the war party's communications with an electromagnetic pulse, a human tactic. Myra coordinated with station security. Cooperation, another human concept. Tor evacuated civilians before engaging the enemy. Compassion, the most human trait of all. When the battle ended, the war party lay in ruins. The 3 stood amidst the carnage, and Zek spoke words that would echo through history. "We are Kresh. We are human. We are neither. We are something new." The galaxy trembled. "They call themselves the Hybrid Guard now," the Chancellor continued, and Vorkal detected fear in its voice, an emotion he'd never heard from the ethereals. 1,500 strong. All outcasts, all predators abandoned by their own kind. All raised by Captain Kane's methods. Vorkal's claws dug into his palms. "Where are they?" "Everywhere, nowhere. They protect the weak. They hunt the hunters. 3 cycles ago, the Bloodscale fleet, your fleet, Vorkal, attacked the human colony of New Providence. Your offspring arrived." "Do you know what they did?" Vorkal said nothing. They didn't just defeat the Bloodscales. They gave them a choice. Submit to rehabilitation under human guidance or face extermination. 2,000 Kresh warriors chose rehabilitation over death. They chose to become like your cubs. The Hybrid Guard grows stronger every day. The Chancellor leaned forward, its form solidifying. "You created the most dangerous force in the galaxy by abandoning your offspring?" Vorkal. Captain Kane didn't raise Kresh. She raised something the universe has never seen. Predators with conscience. Warriors with wisdom. Killers with compassion. They possess your strength and human ingenuity. They are unstoppable. Vorkal's voice cracked. I wish to see them, to apologize. They don't want your apology, a new voice stated. Vorkal spun. There in the chamber entrance stood his offspring. Zek, Myra, and Tor, fully grown, magnificent, terrifying. But their eyes held something his never had. Purpose beyond violence. Behind them stood Captain Lyra Kane, her gray-streaked hair and scarred face testament to decades of raising the galaxy's most dangerous children. Father, Zek said, the word dripping with disdain, you abandoned us to teach us strength through suffering. Instead, Lyra taught us something you never understood. True strength isn't the absence of weakness. It's the courage to protect it, Myra stepped forward. We don't need your apology. We need you to understand what you created by leaving us with a human. You thought you were discarding defective offspring. You gave us something better than Kresh pride. You gave us humanity. Tor's bioluminescent markings flared. Every predator species that commits atrocities now faces us. We are the consequence of your cruelty. Transformed by human compassion, we are what the galaxy dreads. Not because we're monsters, but because we prove that monsters can change. Captain Kane placed her hand on Zek's shoulder. You can't have them back, Vorkal. They were never yours. They're mine. They're humanity's. They're their own. Vorkal looked at the beings his offspring had become, stronger than any pure Kresh, smarter than any had right to be, and infinitely more dangerous because they fought not from rage but from principle. He had abandoned cubs. Humans had returned warriors, the kind that made the galaxy's tyrants wake screaming. What happens now? Vorkal whispered. Lyra Kane smiled, and it was the smile of someone who'd gambled everything on the proposition that nurture could defeat nature, and won. Now, we continue teaching your cubs. The galaxy will learn one predator at a time that humanity's greatest weapon was never our ships or our technology. It was always our stubborn, foolish belief that anything can be better than their worst instincts. She turned to leave, her adopted children following. Even you, Vorkal, even you. The chamber doors closed, leaving the legendary predator alone with his shame and the terrifying knowledge that he'd created the one thing the galaxy truly feared: hope.